Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram, and today we're joined by David English. David,
the loon.
Really appreciate your time today.
Well, Neil, I'm proud and honoured to be here and to be asked the questions because, as you know, where I live, somewhere between nowhere and goodbye. It's hard to find it. And for you to come along and ask me questions, it's very nostalgic for me, sentimental.
No, it's a complete honour for myself.
Well,
so
bless your heart.
Time.
It's been, well, we'll start by saying that okay, go on, off you go.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take you all the way back.
Yeah.
So you're obviously born in Brentford, Middlesex.
Yeah.
What are your earliest memories of cricket?
Right, well, I was actually born in Isleworth.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, next to the Sky Studios,
yeah.
Neil. And I always loved cricket. I lived in Hendon.
Yep.
And I used to go up to Hendon Park with my sister, and she used to bowl to me, and we used to put the 3 stumps on the old air raid shelter wall there and play cricket from dusk to dawn to dusk. It's something I always loved doing. I also played football as well. I've loved all sport, really. I went to 8 different schools, mainly in North London, and cricket was always my main passion. And I was on the ground staff at Lord's.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah. And Jim Fairbrother was the head of the ground staff there, but Don Wilson was the head of cricket there, and I used to get paid 3 and 6 an hour, and it was fantastic, Neil, working at the most wonderful place, the sacred kind of heart of cricket in the world. I felt such an honour, sweeping up and whatever, and then used to play for the Cross Arrows, which is the ground staff at Lord's. We used to play on the nursery end.
Well, you say you were a batsman or a bowler?
I'm an all-rounder.
All-rounder? Yeah.
Left-hander, dashing. Dashing here and there, and medium-pace right-arm bowler. But I batted... the people I always admired was Gary Sobers was my hero, I think. But I think Gower was the most graceful and effortless. Lara, people like that. I was certainly nothing like them. But they do actually give you something to strive for, don't they? You get influenced by them. So I was just happy to be part of the team. And I was captain. I used to make people laugh, so they made me captain and send the ground staff at Lord's, Then I played for Middlesex, the second team. And then my club was Mill Hill Village.
Yeah.
And I was there one day with, when I left school, I went into the newspaper business, Evening News and the Daily Mail, doing a bit of writing here and there. Then I went to Decca as their press officer. Now I started a record label called RSO with a man called Robert Stigwood and the Bee Gees and Eric Clapton, etc. But I also wrote these children's books called Bunbury Tales about rabbits playing cricket. And we had a TV series on the BBC called You and Me. And Jan Brichter was the illustrator. And one day we were at Mill Hill Village watching the cricket and a rabbit ran across the field. And I said, hey, there's Ian Buntham. I said, yeah, look, there'll be Viv Radish from Barbados and there'll be Raj Bunt from Bangalore. And as I was rabbiting on, excuse the pun, he was sketching. And I said, yeah, we can go football, we can have Le Buns, the motor racing, and then Bunch United. Anyway, so it led to 16 books. They became the Bunbury Tales for the books.
So if we just rewind back slightly, so you said you represented Middlesex, second 11.
Second team, yeah.
You played for the MCC representative teams.
Yeah.
Did you ever wanted to play professional cricket long term, or was it just kind of something you were just doing as a passion?
Well, Neil, I always think you only have one life, and as I said to you before, life's a roundabout, the rides. There's so many rides to ride on. I don't think I was good enough to be a first-class cricketer. Maybe I had the talent, but you've got to have the patience and you've got to be able to practice and all that. And that was never really my game. I've never really practiced at anything, to be honest with you, Neil. It's always been impulsive or spur of the moment type of thing. That's the way I've been. So to be a cricketer, you'd have to get in there every day and work out, and run around and do that. And so I think the things that went with it, I probably wouldn't have been quite as industrious. So I think I may have had the talent, but I fancied doing lots of things.
So is that how did the opportunity come about with Decca?
Well, what a good question. The first one was...
Obviously supervising kind of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you that story? Well, shall I briefly tell you how it builds up? Anyway, we're playing cricket one day at Hendon Park, and the ball ran out into the road, and I ran after it, and I was run over, boff. And my father thought I got run over on purpose, not to do my A-levels. He actually said, Dave, I said, so I'm in the old neurosurgery wing at Whittington Hospital, and had a big bump on my head. And my first job, I went to the Evening News and the Daily Mail, and the advertisement director said, you're the boy who's just hitchhiked around Africa. I went hitchhiking around Africa with a friend of mine and started getting a bit groggy because the head was a bit dodgy. He said, come round here. He said, feel the back of my head. So this was the advertisement director, and he had a bump. He said, right, you start Monday. So I got the job because he'd been run over, both been run over.
Right.
And I got paid £8 an hour, £8 a week. But if I sold 10 times my salary in advertising, you got another £5. So I realised that incentive is a very big thing in life. So I was getting about £300. I had a Morgan sports car going up and down Fleet Street. And then one day I was at Creedence Clearwater Revival, the rock and roll show. And the CBS press officer said to me, Dave, do you know that Decca are looking for a press officer, and Sir Edward Lewis, the chairman, loves cricket?
Right.
So I phoned up there, and hello, chairman's office. And I said, hello, sir, madam, Sir Edward Lewis, I want to apply for this job as head of press and public relations. And the lady said, what's your background? I said, well, I was on the Lord's ground staff. And a voice from behind said, tell him to come down here now. And I go down to 9 the Alpen Embankment, and there's Sir Edward Lewis. And all he said to me was, what's Dennis Compton like? I said, well, he's a great man, Sir Edward. What's your high score? I said, we've got 100 at Lord's, for the cross arrows. Jolly good. He said, well, we've got the Rolling Stones here, Tom Jones, Engelbert, Marmalade, he said, and you can start Monday. We'll give you £50 a week, and you'll be at 18 Great Marlborough Street, and you'll have secretaries and you'll have a staff, as long as you keep in touch with me about the cricket. So he loved cricket. So I've got one job through being run over, another job because the boss loved cricket. Can you imagine that? Then one day, there's a commotion in Great Marlborough Street there, Neil, and there's an old Rolls Royce there, and Barry Gibbs' car had broken down. So I went down, he went, ha. I said, Barry, I'm Dave from Decca upstairs. Oh, hello, mate. He said, my wheel's gone, you can't help me, can you? I said, yeah, of course I will, Baz. So I helped him get the AA and the RAC. And I shook hands. I said, we'll meet again, you know that, don't you? He said, I hope we do one day. And then a few years later, I got a call from Robert Stigwood's secretary, Ginny Smythe, and said, Mr. Stigwood would like to meet you. And I go along there, and on the way, Neil, the Evening News Star standard selling the papers, and it was the Red Cow in Japan, was lucky. So this is part of the story. So I go there, and there's this huge office at 67 Brook Street, and it was a glass table held up by 4 stone lions, and this gentleman with a florid expression sat behind it and said, I know all about you. And I thought there was somebody else in the office, so I'm looking around, I thought, fuck, he's a nutter, excuse my language. And he said, now look, we're going to start a record label, and you're the one. I said, right. Oh, thank you, Robert. Now, what should we have for a logo? I said, well, Red Cow, lucky in Japan. Fine, Red Cow. Right, he said, now at the moment, Eric Clapton is not working very much, and the Bee Gees aren't talking to each other. So, it's going to be quite a hard ride. So, but I've got every belief in you. I've heard about your reputation. You get on with people.
This was 1973?
1973, yeah. So he put me at 46 Brook Street. Yep. He was at 67, the chairman, and every evening I had to go and report to him what happened. So the first people I signed up were Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Right. Which is a good move. And they came in, Tim, hello mate, jolly good, love cricket, see you all love cricket. And the first LP we released was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So I signed them. Then I made a record, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, backwards, Window Doggy, How Much Is, sold 9 copies. The chairman said, fine, blah, blah. Now, look, David, I really need you to help me with the boys. So basically, I wrote to all the Bee Gees, spoke to them, they all came in. We all shook hands, embraced, and became really friendly. And then Eric was the same. And
the success was unprecedented.
It was number one in the world. After it took us about 5 or 6 years, and it became the most successful independent record label in the world. And we're at Times Square in New York. I'm with Robert, and the top 10 were in neon lights, Neil. and we had 5 of the top 10: Staying Alive, Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love, More Than a Woman, and Eric Clapton, Lay Down Sally. We had 5 with the Red Cow, luckily.
How did that make you feel when you see that?
Well, do you know, I couldn't believe it, and I still can't believe it. I don't even believe my name. When I see my name, I always think it's somebody else. It's much easier me talking to you. I'm more interested about you, and me telling you all these stories, which are all absolutely true, but I've always deflected in a way because I'm more interested in other people. So it just so happens it goes quite well. Yeah. So I'm sitting there with the chairman, 5 out of 10. So he said, right, let's all go and celebrate. So we go to this club. I say, hey, man, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, Rob, you got to wear a tie, man. You got to wear a shirt. You got to wear a tie like that. And Rob, blah, 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 blah. And after an hour, we were on the white wine, Sauvignon Blanc. I said, Robert, how did you get us in? He said, I bought the club. Right. I bought the club on one condition: nobody can enter with a tie on. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. For a man like that, it's great. So anyway, so we did well. And I said, look, Rob, it's time to move on around the roundabout. I've done the cricket. I've done the Fleet Street music. I'd like to be an actor. So he said, fine, but you can't give up the record job, but I'll help you. And Ken Russell was making Listomania film at Shepperton Studios, and Roger Daltrey was Liszt, Ringo was the Pope. And I went down to meet Ken Russell, Neil, and he said, stand on that chair. And he gave me a revolver, a loaded revolver. He said, fire it into the ceiling. I said, well, what about the lady upstairs doing the typing? She'll get one up the jack. So you can't do that. Just fire the gun. So I went, boof, right. Captain of the Hussars, who's your agent? I said, I don't have an agent. It's just me, Robert, music. So he sent me a script, and I started as the captain of the Hussars in Listomania. I did 100 films.
A Bridge Too Far was probably...
Bridge Too Far was the big one, yeah. That's it, yeah, well done. Well researched. Bridge Too Far. And that was extraordinary.
So you've rubbed shoulders with like Sean Connery, Michael Caine...
Robert Redford, Gene Hackman, Ryan O'Neill, Laurence Olivier. And what happened, Neil, there... The casting directors, when I was an actor, all the best casting directors were ladies. Maud Spector was the casting director for James Bond, but Miriam Brickman was the casting director for A Bridge Too Far. So she said, David, you're going to meet Richard Attenborough, the Dance Centre, 8 Floral Street, he said, and I'm going to send you along to meet him. So I go there. I open the door, Neil. There was 2,000 out-of-work actors there.
Right.
Every out-of-work actor in England was there, 2,000 of them, God's truth. So in walks Sir Richard. All right, darlings, okay, sweeties. And his first assistant director was David Tomlin. He said, right, you can't all meet Sir Richard, you're going to meet in sixes. And you have 30 seconds to tell him why you want to be in A Bridge Too Far. So anyway, Liverpool Frank was the first one, he's next to me. All right, Dave, back of the pool, Liverpool Frankie. All right, Dave, and he was a big, tall lad. And I was number 2. And Richard Hammond said, now, sweetie, wait a minute. I said, Sir Richard, look no further. I'm a cricketer. I'll do the grenades. Let me be the chief grenade thrower on A Bridge Too Far. I can hit a ball. I can throw a ball 100 yards over the stumps. Put that down, Davey. Cricket, put that down. Tom's going, So I said, and that was it. So the recall comes from 2,000. It comes to 1,000, 500, and eventually we were at Twickenham Studios for the 3rd recall, and there was 100 of us from the original 2,000. And I was the second name called out. Tomlin said, right, number 1, Francis Mugan, Liverpool Frank. Number 2, David English. And as I walked past him, he said, what a load of bollocks about that cricket ball and a grenade throwing. He said, I love it. Anyway, so I got the job because of that. And I became very good friends with Attenborough. And I had lots of scenes with Robert Redford, Gene Hackman, as I said, Ryan O'Neill. And I did a big scene with Laurence Olivier. And I was, captain of the I can't remember my name. Anyway, so I was in Bridge Too Far. But Neil, wherever I went in life, cricket was my passion. Yeah. So I said to Sir Richard, before he became Lord Attenborough, why don't I form a little cricket team in between takes, sound running, turnover, action, cut, and while you're setting up the next shot, we'll have a game on the rubble, on the bomb sites. We'll get the bat. I said, we'll call it the APA, Attenborough's Private Army, right? He said, okay, David, darling, I'll leave that to you. Keep them happy, keep them happy. And they did. Redford came along and played. Peter O'Toole, Gene Hackman, they all played. And on this huge war film, bomb sites and things like that. We're playing
In between scenes,
yeah,
yeah.
in between scenes, and the Most Private Army. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. So wherever cricket's just been a complete friend of mine, Neil, and an escape. So, and then I started the Bunbury. Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, we're going to start there. Okay, right then.
So was it? So when did the actual club and the cricket team form? And am I correct to say, was it first called the Eric Clapton?
Yeah, right. Well done. You've done. I'm very, very impressed. Eric Clapton. When in my music days, he said, "No, Arthur." He used to call me Arthur because there's a comedian called Arthur English. Arthur, all this cricket stuff. What is it? I said, "Look, El. Look, why don't we form a team, the Eric Clapton 11, and we'll get all the boys, Phil Collins, all that lot, and we'll raise money for charity." He said, "All right, I said, "All you got to do is just turn up, Eric." So the first game was at his old school, Ripley Court School in Surrey. And I swear to you, Neil, the rain fell, and in our team was Clapton, Bill Wyman at first slip, drinking red wine, Eric looking the other way with a raincoat on, with a fag on, Phil Collins, Ringo Starr, Dennis Waterman, Leslie Grantham. 5,000 people were there in the rain, and we raised £27,000 for the Royal Marsden Hospital in Guildford. So everybody won, and that's the ethos of life. Eric enjoyed it. The people loved to see the big stars fish out of water. We played the game, and the proceeds went to a good cause.
So what year was that first?
19. That was the 19. Help me out. Was it 1987? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. 34 years ago.
Yeah.
35 years ago. 1987. And so it was the Eric Clapton 11, and we had them all, playing. Bill Wyman played.
And this became a regular occurrence. So every Sunday?
Every Sunday we played, yeah. And then I changed it to the Bunbury 11 after my children's books, which were doing quite well. But Eric stayed in the team because he wasn't always available. So, but it did start with Eric Clapton, and I indebted to him. But then it became the Bunbury 11, and that's it. We played every Sunday, and we've raised £17 million since we started for Hope for Tomorrow, NSPCC, Save the Children, any good cause. People used to write to me, and I used to phone up the boys and say, "Right, Dave, where are we playing?" We had a wonderful run. I'd say, "Neil, we had them all playing for us, We'll get on to the schools in a minute, but Ben Stokes, Butler, Root, all the England players have been Bunburys, they've all played, and they've all had a hell of a time." And so that was it. And then you want to know about the schools side?
Yes, obviously the English schools then came.
Yeah, they came to me.
To you.
They came to me.
They were a bit short of money?
They were short of money, absolutely, Neil. And the Cyril Cooper, who was the General Secretary of the England Schools Cricket Association, said, "Dave, will you help us out? Our England Schools Under-15 Festival will cease to be unless we find the finance to put it on. We run out of money." And we were at the home of Ben Brocklehurst, who was the proprietor of the Cricketer magazine. Right. He was the one who told me about Cyril Cooper. He brought us together. He said, "David, darling, I want you to meet, a bit like Attenborough, really. I want you to meet Cyril Cooper, who was wonderful. He looked like a night owl. He had spectacles on and this." And I said, "Cyril, I'd be honoured on one condition, that you call it the Bunbury English Schools Cricket Festival after my showbiz team and my books." And it did. And we started off 1987, Harrow School. And I'll always remember the first players I saw who went on to play for England. John Crawley, Ronnie Irani, were the first two to play for England. Harrow, then we went on Charterhouse, blah, blah, blah. And up to now, 109 Bunburys have played for England. Saki Mahmood is 109th. Tom Bantam was 108. Going back was Sibley, Zach Crawley. 1,039 have played first-class cricket. 109 have played for England. And 17 million we've raised through the charity teams. So that's really what the Bunburys have done since we started, yeah.
And then the festival itself.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about that. It's 56 of the best players at under 15 level.
Absolutely, Neil. That's exactly it. And to play in the Bunbury Festival, you have to play for your school team Like you went to Mill Hill, for instance, school team, so it would be Mill Hill, then you'd have a trial for Middlesex schools, and then you'd have a trial for London and the East. So it goes school team, county, region, and there's 4 regions: London, the East, the South and West, Midlands, and the North. So you go school, county, region, and then the 4 regions come to a school each year. Last year was Felsted, this year's Eastbourne College, and they play in a round-robin competition. So you take out the hat, London and the East might play North, but they all play each other, and at the end, we get the best team, and that is the Bunbury 11, and they will play at Lord's the following year.
Oh, right, so that's how...
Yeah, there's an incentive. It's all about incentive. So they're very good, and it's so much fun. It's such a relief dealing with youngsters because they're looking forward. They want to play for England. You know,
that age,
that is that ultimate thing. And they see all the Bunburys who have played. You know, 2006 we were at Preston Nomads. It was Brighton, and we had Ben Stokes, Butler, Root, Zafar Ansari, Jack Leach, and 1 or 2 others. That was the most from one festival, Neel. I remember all the festival. Moen Ali, 2001. Alistair Cook, Ampleforth College was Ravi Bopara, James Hildreth, Alistair Cook. So every festival I remember, and 4 or 5 from each will go on to play for England. Yeah.
And then also, as you said, all this was kind of self-funded from yourself.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was 2018. You had a conversation with Colin Graves about it coming on in the ECB wing.
Well, Neel. How I funded it was I got sponsorship.
Yeah.
I used to go out with my can and rattle, you know, and Bentley came in, Nestles, shredded wheat, and they would take advertising in the brochure, or they would put money into the thing. So I funded it by getting sponsorship from outside. And then 2018, Colin Graves, the chairman, he said, dear lad, I want to talk to you. He said, the festival, he said, we want to take it over so it will no longer be the Bunbury English Schools Cricket Association Festival. We'll call it the ECB David English Bunbury Festival. I said, Cole, yeah, on one condition, that the masters and my Esker family must be included. You know, I'm saying they're my family, you know, the schoolmasters. It's all voluntarily. For 30-odd years, 31 years or whatever, we've done it. Me raising the money, them organising it, and that's how it worked. So, but obviously ECB gives us a stamp of authority on it. So I said, OK, Cole, and that's it. And so it's the ECB David English Bunbury Festival now, yeah.
And who are the best players to come through it, in your opinion?
Right. Andrew Flintoff was the most rumbustious, wonderful Freddie. Bowling flat out, batting. David Sales of Surrey hit the ball the hardest. Marcus Trescothick hit the ball the furthest. Joe Root was quite angelic, you know, what a wonderful timer. Stokesy, quite a quiet fellow, but on the field, terrific battler, very fine player. 1 or 2 that I thought would have gone on to play for England. James Hildreth, 15 was superb. I thought he would have played for England, and I thought David Sales would have played for England of Surrey, but they didn't quite make it. Some people develop later, Neel, in all walks of life.
The great Alistair Cook, how was he as a youngster?
What a legend, you know, 2000. What a night. And team player, always looking out for the team. Left-hander, good cutter of the ball, and a good sweeper, not bad off drive. Ian Bell, technically, would be one of the best, definitely. And then all the others.
Who's the quickest at that age that you've seen?
Quickest bowler? That's a good question. I would say Saqib Mahmood is quick. Flintoff on his day was fast, definitely. Let's just think. Stuart Broad, yes, fast. Spinner-wise, Adil Rashid, wonderful. He won the most awards at the festival. We're at Shrewsbury School, and I think it was 2003. Double check on it like that. And he won best all-rounder, best spin bowler, best batsman. And he said, Dave, I'm off to Bradford now. And as he walked down the steps of the cricket pavilion, Neil, he, clutching all these trophies, he fell into the rhododendrons. Dave, I said, come on, Dale. So I got him up, and his dad was there, wonderful. And his dad, in his basement in Bradford, built him a net. So he actually had his own net. Adil Rashid, terrific spin bowler, wonderful. Moeen Ali, very, very naturally gifted, lovely fella too. They're all lovely lads.
And who's the one or two players that you've seen come through the Bunbury and didn't go on to even play first-class cricket? Any names that kind of stick in your mind?
Well, that's a very good question. Zafar Ansari, he did play first-class cricket for Surrey.
Played for England a couple of times.
Yeah, he did. I said, Zaf, when he won the award in that 2006 one with Root, Stokes, Butler. Yeah, that's another one. Joss Butler, extraordinary talent, most modest man in the world, with a cricket bat, absolute.
Hit it far.
Miles, Neil. Hit it miles. So anyway, Zafar, he got an award for the man of the festival, all-round good bloke. I said, so Zaf, career, batting, bowling, whatever. He said, no, Dave, I want to be a concert pianist. He said, that's what I want to be, a concert pianist. And so he did. He left. It's funny, Neil, there are some boys who I think will go on and play and actually go into other careers. There's a lad at Lancashire, I think he's still there, called George Lavelle. Brilliant. He was at Malvern College Festival in Worcestershire just a few years ago, and he had England written all over him.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's still playing or whatever, but I'd have put my money on George Lavelle, definitely going on.
And 2005, the Ashes winning squad.
Yeah.
I think one tabloid newspaper termed you the godfather of cricket.
That's it.
When you read kind of stuff like that,
Daily Telegraph.
You see like Andrew Flintoff, Michael Vaughan, all come through your system.
Yeah.
Make you proud?
Well, Neil, this is such a good question. It makes me feel very proud in moments. I might be in Sainsbury's or Waitrose doing that, and suddenly I think, wow. And then when I see them play, sometimes I can't even believe it's happened. It's like living in a dream because it's something I love so much, cricket. It does make me very proud when I had my first book launched and Freddie Flintoff walks in there, England, playing at Lord's, and he had his England blazer on and like that, and Michael Vaughan walked in. I said, thanks, lad. No, David, anything for you, mate. We'll do anything for you. And I think that's really rather special. And Ashley Giles, I always send them little emails, good luck, lads, tomorrow, South Africa and all that. Ashley Giles said, Dave, on behalf of the whole team, thanks for all you do. What you do for everybody here is great. We all love getting your messages,
so most of the World Cup winning team actually came through the system.
Yeah.
They gave you a call afterwards, after the winning moment?
They did. And they were all around the phone and they're all going, Dave, hello, mate. Do you remember Nando's? They always go on about the Nando's night out. They always think that's marvellous when they sing karaoke and all that, Johnny Bairstow and all that. Yes. So I'm very proud,
And can you give us a little insight into what they said after that winning moment, after winning the World Cup towards you?
Do you know what it was? Because I can't remember. What did they say? Tell me. Remind me.
Thank you, congratulations.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, they always say, Dave, thanks a lot, Dave. Some call me the Loon. Dr. Dave, because I got an honorary doctorate at Middlesex University, so they call me Dr. Dave. So they say, thanks for everything. And do you know how they repay me, Neil? They come and play in my charity team. Whenever they're free, they'll come. Johnny Bairstow plays Moeen. They say, Dave will do anything because you got us started. You discovered us at the Bunbury Festival and you stayed with us as our friend. So we will always...
Once a Bunbury.
Yeah, once a Bunbury, always a Bunbury. A Bunbury stands for freedom, stands for fun, stands for ever being young. Do a good turn unto others, never turn from your quest, for you are a Bunbury and a Bunbury does his best. Wow. And they all get that little speech and we all shake hands. So it's like a brotherhood. It's Tom Brown's school days, but it's a brotherhood. Once a Bunbury, always a Bunbury, and we're all there to help each other. So when we get together, it's like a brotherhood.
And any famous stories that have come through the years during the festival? Was there something? I read back. Was there one of the Neville Brothers and Sir Alex Ferguson? Was there a story?
Oh my goodness! Thank you. Blimey, you're a star. 1991, Bromsgrove School. Alex Ferguson came down, and Gary and Phil Neville were really good. They're
very talented.
They would play for the North. They were excellent cricketers. As was Elliot Daly, by the way, the rugby player.
Yeah, okay.
There have been other boys who've gone on to play for other things, but Phil Neville and Gary Neville would have gone on to play for England. And Alex Ferguson said to their dad, who's called Neville, by the way, Neville, that's his dad, right? Right, son, Philip, you've got to make a decision. Is it cricket or is it football? I said, Mr. Ferguson, they're only 15.
Wow, that age,
you know, they're under 15. Surely they've got time. They're going to develop. Went, no, I want to know now. And they picked football. And that was it. They went off, played football. I think they played for Lancashire's second team, but they would have gone on and played for England. So that was sad. But no, Fergie was their boy, you know.
Yeah.
As are lots of scouts now, Neil, because they are England's future. And so people do come down there. They do come down there.
And some other stories, I've heard of stuff about the famous Nando's nights out, as you said, Ben Stokes pouring.
Oh, wonderful. You're such a good lad. Right. 2006, Preston Nomads. I take them all to Brighton, Nando's in Brighton. And I actually saw Ben Stokes pour peri-peri sauce into Joe Root's Coca-Cola. I caught him doing it. Always remember that. And so we had a big, laugh about this. All a big laugh. The year before, 2005, we're at Newquay, and they're climbing up the cliffs and doing all that. Then we went into Nando's, and Johnny Bairstow led the karaoke like a shot, real...
Best singer?
Yeah. Well, I would say he had a good voice. Zafar Ansari had a very good voice. And sometimes Eric Clapton and Barry Gibb would come down, not to our Nando's night, but they would come down and Barry would get the guitar out. We could have a sing-song as well. Yeah. So they've all contributed. But they're all cheeky boys. They're full of spirit. They're very lively. They're very ambitious. And invariably very good at other sports. They all play football. Now, I know they've got to be careful. I know that one or two have been injured. Yeah. But they all played, other sports. I say Elliot Daly. I think one or two of them, Freddie Flintoff, definitely, good footballer. They have an eye for the ball, yeah. Have you got any other stories there? Go on, remind me, come on.
Those are the only ones I can...
Cool, you've helped me there. You see, that's...
I'll look back on.
See, I need the memory refreshing.
And then you also mentioned off camera about the two under-15 World Cups.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, Neil, like everything in life, you want to be the best at what you do. And I think that everything's possible, which is very tiring for people with me, but not really, because I always try and make it fun. So whether you're running a record label or running the Bunburys, get everybody involved, make sure they're having a better time than you do. Always give more than you take, then they come back again. So, they get their shirts, their caps, bats, whatever. You make it, and they think, that's great, yeah, we'll be there next week, Dave, great. So I thought, right, what's the best thing we could do? Let's have a World Cup for kids. So, once again, the under-15 was the age when you're not a child anymore and you're not an adult, you're adolescent. So you're faintly worldly wise, but you're still peeking over the Coca-Cola cans, really, in a way, So I said, OK, look, let's do a World Cup. And a friend of mine was John Morgan, who was the financial director of Lombard, the bank. And he's a great Bunbury man. I said, John, I'd love to do a World Cup. Would you sponsor it? He said, how much would it cost? I said, it costs £1 million. So he said, well, I'll have to go back to my directors and do this, blah, blah, blah. He said, but can you give anything that would help me, would be appreciated. So I went and saw the head of Sky Sports, Vic Wakeling, top man. I was doing a programme on Sky called How's That?, which is a bit of a crazy programme. Harry the Fish would love that kind of thing. And Vic Wakeling, I said, look, Vic, if I can raise £1 million, would you film the final and the 2 semi-finals and the competition itself. He said, I will. And he got his secretary there in front of me. He dictated a letter. He said, in the event of David English raising £1 million, we here at Sky Sports will confirm that we will film the competition. So I went back to John Morgan, and it took me 18 months. And after 18 months, he came back and said, yes, they've said yes, called the Lombard World Challenge. And it was the semi-finals at Trent Bridge and Headingley, final at Lord's. And it was India versus Pakistan. And there was a huge punch-up. There were 10,000 people there, Neil. And it was fantastic. And suddenly there was a riot. 5,000 Indian lads came over here, 5,000 Pakistani came, and there was a riot on the pitch. And the next day, the day you say, well, godfather of English cricket, panic runs wild in schoolboy final. Panic runs wild in schoolboy final. And the umpire's been carried off and all that. We had 10,000 people there. It was fantastic. Wow. It was really, really great. And India won. And there they are. They're up there on top of the world. There it is, Neil. Look, over there. See, look, there it is. That's John Morgan. That's the Lombard World Cup. Yeah. And so then my other very close friend was Colin Graves, who was the chairman of Cost Cutter. Yep. And Gravesy was a wonderful sponsor of the Bunburys. And when I saw Gravesy, I said, look, can we do another one? And he was very clever. He went to all his concessionaires, and like Roundtrees or Weetabix, shredded wheat, Nestles, and he got the sponsorship from his suppliers plus his own money, and that was another £1 million, and that was the Cost Cutter World Challenge in 2000, and the West Indies won that. And once again, Headingley, Trent Bridge, semi-finals, final at Lord's, and we had 10,000 there. So I've done 2 World Cups, yeah. And the other one, by the way, I want to talk to you, Neil. In 1992, I insisted that we brought the South African boys over. All this apartheid nonsense, absolute nonsense. Sport oversees things. There are some things in life where everybody should have the opportunity to shine, to do well. And I went to South Africa. I said, look, if I will pay for the South African under-15 side to come to England and have the first ever tour of South Africans in this country, right? And we did, 1992. And they all came over, and they were so polite, the lads. They were wonderful. I don't know if Jack Callis was there. There were 1 or 2. I think Pollock might have been there. And we had the final at Lord's again. So I'm proud of that. Yeah, this first ever tour out of South Africa when apartheid was lifted, or whatever you want to call it, eased or whatever, plus the 2 World Cups, yeah.
Amazing. And then how do you see the game as a whole at the moment? So England just won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Test team up and down slightly.
Yeah.
Cricket man to the core. How do you see it?
Well, there is a lot of cricket. The way I see it, Neil, is this. I'm an old-fashioned bloke, 74, with a young heart. And when I was on the ground staff at Lord's, I learnt more about cricketers there bowling in the nets to the great players, you know. Well, there's Embry and Edmonds and all those blokes, you know, playing for Middlesex, Mike Brearley and everything. And you learn more from county cricket. I believe county cricket is the basis of the game. It's the foundation. First of all, you become enamoured by the game at school. You play in the playground. And, you know, 100 aside and bash it all around there. And then you play some club cricket. Then you get a trial for a county and you learn your trade in county cricket. And Test cricket must be the ultimate game. No question about it. School, county, England. That has to continue. I realise how exciting T20 is. It's exhilarating to see Jason Roy, Bairstow and Butler go out there and blaze away. They're taught range hitting now, Neil. The boys tell me. So Dave, in the nets now, it used to be, you know, this and that, sweeps and but then they cultivated the little chips and the kind of improvised shots. And range hitting. Yeah. That's part of it. So the bowling machine's on there, and they're seeing how Jason Roy will hit the first ball for 6 out of the ground. That's extraordinary. So I've seen the things change. So I think T20 is a wonderful showbiz. It's a great kind of exhibition, and people love it because they don't wait for, you know, 5 days for a test match. But the purists, it's great to see people actually making it, like Alistair Cook, building innings. T20 is an instant gratification. Then you've got the 100 competition, which is yet another one coming. Then you've got all the IPL leagues, where they can go and make a few bob. The boys can make money now. They can make serious dosh, thank goodness, because cricket is a poor neighbour to football in terms of salaries. Football. Somebody told me that Gareth Bale gets £600,000 a week. Aguero gets £350,000 a week. Well, that's £1.2 million a month, Neil. That's extraordinary, isn't it? So cricket, we're not in that league, but the boys do go, when they're not playing for their country, they go off and have back-wheel travel. But I believe still it should be school, county cricket, England. And then the other stuff is showbiz, and why not?
And do you think enough is being done at the grassroots level to bring the boys and girls through the system?
Well, this is a very very important point here. The public schools, obviously, the private schools have got all the facilities. Excuse me, I had to go to the dentist the other day, so my teeth, I feel like kind of a donkey. I look like a donkey as well. I've done that. Don Quixote. Anyway, the private school, like Mill Hill and Stowe and all these wonderful schools, they've got all the facilities. The state schools don't have those facilities. They don't have a cricket field, not all of them. They might have a field which is used for all sport, football, cricket and whatever. So invariably, children will go to a local club and learn the game. I think it's essential. It's essential. Sport is the most healthy outlet. A youngster, their energy, Neil, I see them all. On and off the field, they're full of spirit, they're full of nonsense, but they want to play the game. So every secondary school, if it's that, or comprehensive school, I believe, should have a sports field, definitely. They may not have a resident coach like the public schools do, but all the lads I know, all the England lads, they would gladly go and voluntarily coach at state schools. So everybody must have the same opportunity. Neil, I don't know, in India and Pakistan, I should imagine, can you imagine going to a school in Mumbai or Karachi and then say, oh, no, we don't play cricket here, or we don't, there'd be a riot, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
So I think everybody should have the opportunity to excel. What you should do, Neil, like everything in life, you should have the opportunity to show what you've got to the people that matter. That's it. I know that, you can write a letter and you don't get a reply or whatever, but what you do, this is the secret between you and I, always find the man at the top, the man who can make the decisions, and somehow get to him. Find out where he gets his car washed, who's his gardener or whatever. Get a message to him. Meet him by mistaken waitress. Oh, hello, Mr. Attenborough. How are you, sir? Oh, you're making this film a bit too far. Well, I could grenades. So like that. Meet them, fish out of water. Because forget all that secretaries and going through the channels and sending in your CV and all that. I know you have to do it, but I'm careful with my language, but it is bollocks, all that. You've got to get to the man who can say yes or no. And they'll like your spirit, your pluck. So, well, you're an adventurous young man. How do you know that I went to Waitrose like this? Oh, I didn't know so, but I know that you're directing that film, or I know that you run Middlesex Cricket or whatever, and my son Archie is a leg break bowler, and he would love to have a trial. Oh, Archie, where is he? Here, Archie, come here. This is the president of Middlesex, like that. All right, well, I'll speak to the coach and you phone them and I'll make sure that Archie has a chance. Rather than, dear Mr. My son Archibald would love to be considered for a place on your staff. And they're very good. Everybody gets trials, but if you can accelerate that, because it's important, because I think you should be an actor. And make you today, that's my opinion, because you've got the right look. And I honestly, sincerely think you should have a go, or definitely presenting, particularly because you look good. And that's, in America, that is 90% of the thing. The fact is that you have a way with a camera and you look good and you love the game. To me, that says you should be in front of the camera. That's my own personal opinion, right? Sadly, I don't have a film company or whatever. I'm just a one-man band. I'm Mr. Bunbury, whatever. But if I did, I'd get you in.
No, I appreciate that.
I get you because of your enthusiasm and the love of the game. But you look right, and people like to see the TV. You know, I'm not just. This is not false flattery. It's if you look right, the camera loves you.
No, I appreciate that, David. But obviously, it's all about yourself. You know, fantastic story. What a man.
Well,
as I said at the top, a complete honour for myself to meet you.
Well, it's very nice for you to say that.
And thank you very much today.
Well, Neel, I'm very overwhelmed. Very few people come to Bunbury Towers. They can never find me. I always say I live somewhere between nowhere and goodbye. But we're surrounded by all these memories. But you've refreshed the memory. I haven't done this for a long time, you know. When we started off and everything, well, it's nice to be called the godfather of English cricket. I think people know it. The thing I want to ask you, Neel, is that if I got run over tomorrow, I hope they keep the David English Bunbury Festival, the name. I think that I would like. I would like it always to be called the David English Bunbury Festival, because we have done well, and I would like the name to carry on.
The system speaks for itself, yeah.
Yeah, when I'm not here, you know, and all the boys they've all got a story to tell, and I'd like to keep that going, yeah.
Perfect, David. Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome, Neel.
Thank you.
No, the pleasure's mine, absolutely.
So, Neel Khagram, Cricket Life Stories, David English. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Neel.